Hey everybody, this is Alzorath, and welcome to the How to YouTube mini-series. And if it wasn't obvious, we're talking about subscriptions and SEO today. For this video, you're welcome to like, comment, share, or even put this video on a random playlist if you really want to, but whatever you do not subscribe. Now, some people may be listening to this bewildered, as the trope of asking for subscriptions is so ingrained in YouTube culture that you can find the so-called call to actions for this sprinkled throughout almost every video on the platform. Others may say cynically that this is an attempt at reverse psychology. Either way, the reality is the direction YouTube has taken over the past several years has made it so that what you choose to do with this information here and now is about 80% pointless, which is about as pointless as video tags after the first 1,000 views. In this video, we'll cover what all this means and what you can do to help your channel. Now, the real heart of this video, if it wasn't obvious, is not so much meant for the average viewer, though I do actually plan to make a video about manipulating YouTube to show you what you really want to see in the future. This video is actually meant for fellow or hopeful creators, whether in gaming, art, music, fashion, vlogging, whatever you can dream of on YouTube, since a lot of new and old creators put a lot of weight in that subscriber number when, in reality, it doesn't have as much of an impact on your channel as you would hope, for better or worse. It only serves as an arbitrary goal for monetization and marketing in the vast majority of cases, with a fringe of, oh yeah, what about this channel, that the system pulls that has minimal at best impact. Now, you may have noticed this, not so much as a creator, but as a user, which is a perspective a lot of YouTubers lose over time. When you first launch onto your homepage, what do you see? On desktop, you drop in with a sidebar of navigation, recommended categories at the top, and a pile of recommended videos based on what you've watched recently on that account, with subscriptions nestled about a click away. On mobile, this is even more summarized, and while there are hints of subscription systems located here and there, they're all at least a step away. This is intentional, and this is why you shouldn't worry nearly as much about subscribing or subscriptions, because YouTube's algorithm, in the grand scheme of things, doesn't care either. They've even actually taken away a lot of features like emails, to an extent, about updates on channels, so it definitely doesn't care nearly as much. YouTube's algorithm, smartly I might add, isn't really designed to serve your videos to your subscribers or even your subscriptions to your feed. No, it's designed to serve videos to viewers based on their behavior, their demographic, and their interests. Since the more they watch, the more ads they see. Watch dozens of videos on how to build a computer, you'll likely be recommended a Linus Tech Tips video, whether you're subscribed or not. Watch Dangerously Funny, you'll be led to Blitz Kriegler. Watch videos on how to cook a quiche, chances are you'll be recommended some big cooking channels, because they know most people who watch what you watch will click those if they see them on their homepage. The algorithm wants people to click, and it wants people to stay on the platform. And what's the best way to do that? Give people videos that have been proven to be, clickable with decent retention, related to what they've watched recently, or what people similar to them have watched as well. Chances are you, if your channel is small, doesn't have this track record on any of your videos. So while your video may pop up in a few thousand recommended feeds, just as the off chance kind of recommendation, a larger channel's videos in the same niche will likely beat you out with a few million and be recommended more often because they have more knowledge about it. It's especially true if they have a better cross-platform presence, because YouTube does know more about their video and they will see it as a safer bet for clicks. Why give a person 3 videos that they're not sure they're going to click on whenever they can give them 3 videos that they know they want to see all 3 of? So it's the safe bet for YouTube. Now, if you watch this far, chances are you can actually go and look at all this slightly taking effect on your own homepage, especially if you've been watching other content on How to YouTube, or binging something else specifically, like cooking that quiche. I would ask you to wait a minute, though, because we did ask 2 things at the beginning, and we've got to answer that second question first. How can you actually improve your chances for that homepage slot? Or more probably better phrased, how do you get YouTube to actually understand what demographic wants to watch your videos? The cop-out answer is, of course, more views and more data. The less cop-out answer is still pretty cliche, which is SEO, search engine optimization. I mean, of course, making your thumbnails, titles, etc. reflect the content, and making better content helps as well, since that improves the time on the platform for the viewer. But you generally do just have to make it have better data. The unfortunate part is the specifics of SEO and content optimization is going to differ drastically depending on what kind of content you create, so we'll have to make a broad overview here and then go into more specifics in the video about specific content types. Because I do eventually plan to explaining why vlogs and Let's Plays are like Schrodinger's content, or what the difference between growth and not growth stuff is. But here we just need to give that, how do you just go in and make sure that this video that I have spent hours making does slightly better. That is where the general rule of thumb with SEO comes in. And I'm going to get weirdly specific, but not specific in this. And that is, whenever you're aiming for SEO, you want to focus on a keyword or phrase that is central to the video. The smaller you are, the more specific this phrase needs to be. The larger, the more broad you can get away with. Where a big channel can get away with focusing on the phrase, getting YouTube subscribers. A mid-sized channel may need to focus on how to get your first 1,000 subscribers. A small channel may need to focus on how to use YouTube Shorts to get your first 1,000 subscribers. These may all have the exact same content, and they may even be the exact same quality. But the channel with the established viewer base will get the clicks from the homepage because YouTube knows that their viewers will likely click on that content already, and is able to get the momentum on that term to rank. This is true in any genre. And in turn, it actually provides more demographic data about what types of people enjoyed that video, which in turn gives it even more good data to say, hey, these are the people who like it, these are the people who don't. We can get that click-through rate up just by doing that. Whereas the smaller channel needs to focus on actually going out and finding those people for that phrase or that specific need, to build up that data and fill in those big question marks in the algorithm's understanding of their video, because there isn't as much of a track record there. They have to say, these people who are searching for specifically this thing want to see this specific video. That's why you niche down into that subcategory, that tertiary term that you have there. The use of, yes, you're using YouTube subscribers. Yes, you're saying that 1,000 mark to narrow it down a little bit. Yes, you're using that first 1,000 to make it even more impactful to new creators. And yes, you're using YouTube Shorts because that's a specific tool. You're basically saying, here's the target, here's the condition, here's the specific subset of that's going to be looking for this. And here's how I want them to go into it. Whereas the bigger creator just focuses on, yeah, you guys want YouTube subscribers? Come talk to me. So that's how that actually works out. You need to think about it as focus, then narrow the target in, especially if you're small. And this is really why you hear the top advice for smaller channels is making sure your description, your title, your tags are optimized for those niche searches, making sure that thumbnail is good and kind of focused in on it. Even if you still include the broad search options as alternative tags, like say your first tag is your like narrow YouTube Shorts to get your first 1,000 subscribers thing, you can still include that getting YouTube subscribers as another tag and let them kind of build into that. Because as you rank on the more specific one, you will start to move up on the more broad one as well as YouTube learns more about you. There is also another added benefit to doing this, that a lot of actually larger channels, as they get more lazy about their SEO and just go for these broad terms and ignore the narrow terms, they actually start losing out on. It's because these more narrow terms serve as a better seed for search engines like Google, Yahoo, Bing, etc., where people are more likely to be searching for these specific phrases. And if you're curious, no, YouTube and Google's algorithms for ranking are not the same. Not even like close. So you can exploit one against the other. Like if you can rank in Google, it will push up your rank in YouTube because it's seeing all this traffic from an external source. If you can get a positive feedback off of Reddit, which is viewers going to the video and retaining on it, you can do the same thing as well. There's a lot of things you can do that can help boost your YouTube presence by using other platforms, but you have to add value through those other platforms as well. And it's also worth noting that while not all avenues are used by the YouTube algorithm, it's always wise to have a rough idea of what metadata you're providing to them outside of these aspects. For example, if you go back to the first few seconds of this video, you may notice I intentionally repeated specific keywords you'll find in the title, description, and tags. If you can see the tags, which there are little things you can add to the browser to do that. YouTube's algorithms and tools are constantly evolving and reacting to new data points. So you should always at least try to see the ones that you do have control over. You don't have control over your demographics as much. I mean, you can focus and market towards them, but if a specific group finds your videos and really likes it, that is on that group, not, you can't force that group to watch your videos. You can only aim towards them. It's up to them to see if they grab it or not. So it's always good to have control over the things you can control, so you have more control over what you end up impacting later on. And just because something's not being used now doesn't mean it can't be used later. Who knows? Maybe next week they'll like focus the entire algorithm on what the closed captions say about your video, the automated ones. They could use those as your keywords. Currently, there's speculation that they are, but there's no proof to it. So anyway, after all that, hopefully it helps. This has been a bit longer of a video than I anticipated because I went off on tirades here and there. But if you want to hit subscribe or even ring that bell, it's your decision. The reality is, even if you subscribe though, you're more likely to see more content about how YouTube and subscriptions work than you are to see more content from this channel specifically, because this is more of a help you kind of project for me than necessarily something that this channel is going to change a theme about. There will be a playlist for it, but mostly I would rather people reference that playlist than reference the channel. And also, just some food for thought before we let you go, that you as a viewer should watch what you enjoy and only subscribe if you're wanting to binge something later. Whereas a creator, if you're focusing on growth content rather than the Schrodinger's content I mentioned earlier, you should focus on optimizing the content for the audience, not the subscription button. Stop doing the stuff about only such and such a % of you are subscribed. It doesn't matter. What matters is that you make sure YouTube knows what audience your videos are for, so that it can serve them to them and get more views to it and make sure that the content meets the viewer. And on that note, hopefully you guys have enjoyed this and found it useful. I will be making more of these in the future as time allows, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.